We are Brightside Home Theater.
Hey, home theater nerds. Welcome to the Brightside Home Theater Podcast. The Home Theater Podcast, it's all about the experiences, the sights,
the sounds,
the scenes.
Yeah.
Man down, Deej. Man down.
Man down. Man down. We have man down over here. Man down. Yeah, man down. Bus bench is running light.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. John's on grandpa duty.
Yes, Grandpappy Cody.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, doing a little bit of grandpa duty there, watching his he's already sent pictures. Was his granddaughter? Yeah.
Oh,
He's like, he's having a good time. He's having a good time.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. Although he's been desperate to hear me talk about one of the things we're going to talk about this week, and he's going to miss it. So
which one?
He drops in via the chat.
I know which one. Yeah, I know
that one.
Yeah. That one.
That one. Yeah.
So
he's gonna miss it.
Oh, you don't even get that joke.
What's that?
Yeah, we'll talk about it when we get there. If I remember, it's like, oh boy, yeah. So you know what, if I remember, thank you very much. Let's just jump right to this right away. We have two new patrons. One I failed to mention last week. I didn't make a sticky note.
It's not a sticky note. It didn't happen.
Exactly, which that is not true. Dan Allen became a $5 patron last week. Actually on April 27th. I was supposed to mention it last week, but then since then we also got Bob. Ironically, because that name is very apropos right now with a movie that we'll talk about this week a little bit and more next week. But Bob became a $1 patron, box of Junior Mints, $1. So if everybody listening was like Bob, we could all do this full time. We need more Bobs. Bobs. Bob around.
Yes.
Oh boy. Yeah. Steve,
thanks, guys. That's very cool.
Yeah. Steve at in the chat. Wow. 5 p.m. start. Yeah. Okay. There we go.
Hey, it's 10 p.m. here, Steve. Come on.
Yeah.
Let's stretch across the world. Come on, man.
Yeah. So thanks to Dan and Bob for becoming patrons. Really appreciate that.
I don't think we've seen either of them in the chat. So
I don't know. Maybe if it was they might have a different name in the chat or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah. So, okay, well, either way, very cool. Yeah, thanks, guys.
Yeah,
much appreciated.
Really cool. Thank you very much.
We will spend it unwisely.
Nope, it's all going right in. Going right into the show. Believe me, it goes right into the show. As of right now. But yeah, so that was really cool. But yes, to Dan, sorry about that. I forgot to mention it last week at the end of the show. I was like, didn't make a sticky note. So I apologize, Dan. And, but all right. Glad I remembered that this week. This week because I didn't make a sticky note and I still remembered. I remembered. How's your week been, Steve?
Oh man, busy. Well, this is the thing. I think I ought to get this out the way at the top of the show. It's been a very, very, very long week at work. Extremely busy, and we've just had a bank holiday weekend. So we've had the May Day, Monday off as well as Saturday and Sunday, and I worked pretty much all of it. And I am exhausted. So can I apologize in advance? Anyone that sees me trying to stifle a yawn, I mean that not in a disrespectful way. I simply mean I am shattered. The other thing is my voice is coming and going. So apologies again, guys. It'll go fine for a few hours and then it just goes like this. So typical, as soon as we start the show, this is how it begins. So apologies for that as well. So we'll get all that out of the way at the beginning. But having said all that, I have seen some good stuff in the theatre room this week and on the glasses. So it's been it's been a good week in that respect, but a shattering one work-wise. How's yours been?
Lots have happened since the last we spoke, buddy. And it's funny you mentioned those glasses. I might be getting those. I might need them. I might be down a theater. No theater at all. As I told you before, it's like before we started recording, met with a realtor on Sunday and went through the house, and we are putting it I've got a lot to do to get the house ready for sale, but we're going to be putting it on the market before the end of the month, like the last week of the month. I think it's like the Tuesday after Memorial Day here is what we're shooting for. So that means that we're going to be, they'll shoot the pictures. They have a professional photographer coming in on Friday before Memorial Day. And the house will go live on Tuesday. It was funny because we were meeting. They're like, all right, we'll go live on Tuesday. And right in my head, I go live every Tuesday. What are you mentioning that for? No, the house. Oh, yeah. Okay. Gotcha. So, but yeah, there's a lot we got to get done, but not, I mean, it's all, some of it's cosmetic, some of it's cleaning, stuff like that. I've got to, fix a couple of things, like just to make it like nice. Some things like the banisters that the dog ate, I'm gonna chew dog chewed them up, broke a couple. So I'll be replacing stuff like that, fix the stair treads. Yeah, easy stuff. She's like, can you put a railing in here? Because on the downstairs to the basement, I took it out, a whole wall out, so it's open on one side. I'm like, all right, got to build that. Just things to do in the next 2.5 weeks. Get the pool open. But she's like, this is, we took her in the backyard, see the pool, all the stuff I did back there, the fire pit, the gazebo I built, all of that. And she's like, oh yeah. She's like, I don't think I'll have a problem selling it. I'm like, okay.
No, all right. Oh, that's good. That's good.
But yeah, then I took her in the theater, and she's sold a lot of houses. She's really good. She came, we met her through Larissa, and it was like Larissa was talking her up, and then she comes in and she's like, yeah, I've sold houses with theaters before. And we're like, oh, really? Okay. So we went downstairs, and I bring her into the theater, and she sits down. She's like, wow, this is not, no, where's that? Yeah. Can you keep this? Cause I was asking her, I'm like, should I rip everything out and just sell it as like an open basement, or should I sell it with the theater? And right away, she's like, sell it with the theater. And I said, well, because if I don't, I got to pull out the stadium seating, stay at the riser and everything like that. She goes, no, we should sell it like this. So then she's demoed it for her, and she's like, what's this app that you got all the movies? I was like, yeah, that app. It's a Kaleidoscape. I'm like, yeah, that cute little app. Yeah, that's not coming with it. She goes, oh no. And I know, and I started telling her the pricing on the pieces, and I'm like, this right here, this Kaleidoscape, I'm like, that's $12,000 for that. And I said, then you buy your movies. And she goes, wow. I go, yeah. And I go, and this piece here, like the Lumigen, it's like $8,500 for this one here. And she's like, and that's what I was trying to tell her. I go, I'm not going to get my value if I sell everything in here. I go, but we did a demo of it, and it's like, she's like, oh my God, like the seats were shaking, everything. Of course, this was on Star Wars Day. I'm showing it. So I opened it with Star Wars, of course. Yeah. And she goes, I've shown a lot of theaters, but nothing is ever compared to this. She's like, I've shown some that are bigger, but nothing like this. And she goes, the sound is amazing and stuff like that. I go, well, I think what I'm going to do is when they show it, I'll let them show it, full theater, everything there.
Yeah, in situ.
When they buy it, they'll get my old receiver, my old speakers. I'll probably leave the projector, and then, let them buy that. And I'll tell them a price of everything if they want it, But she was saying between selling that and then the backyard, never mind the house itself, she said is nice. But she's like, between those two things, you should get some. And then I guess there's a way you can do it as well, where I sell the theater stuff, like it's an add-on at the end. So they pay for the house, but then they write us a check at the closing for just the theater stuff. So I could set a price for that. So, but
Okay. Yeah.
it's all very exciting, but very like scary, disappointing. Right. And you're like, you know, it's like, I'm like, I got a lot to do to keep busy. And it's, you know, gut wrenching at the same time. Cause when it's over, it's like, I'm gone. And then it's like, I have no theater. It's been I haven't had no theater in 30 years. 30 years. Like I moved from my apartment, which was my living room theater, moved right from that to here. And it was like 6 weeks later, I had that theater up and running. So this is going to be more than 6 weeks. You know, it's like, so I'm going to have no theater. And I was like, oh no. It's like all of my stuff, all of everything. It's like, I'm like, just thinking about it, I'm like sick. Like, so just where this plan started to where it is now, not even close.
No, but again, it's a means to an end, isn't it? It's all another step on the journey, and you know it'll get where you'll get to eventually. You'll look back on this and laugh.
Oh, I don't know about laugh, but I'll look back on it.
yeah.
But it's like, you know, it's like we were talking last week, and it was like, you know, about the idea that we were going to have to sell it. We all knew back in November and December is when I started telling you guys. And, you know, we were talking about hiring Shelly, that's my realtor, back then. And I should have, you know, I remember how excited I got thinking about it, just talking about it then and being like, all right, because you hear all that. Well, that's what happened this last week. It's like, Larissa happened to be talking to Shelly about the house, and she's like, this is it. And I go, you know what? Go. Just do it. Let's hire her. Done. And it was because if I keep waiting like this, it's just going to get put off and put off. So at least this is going to make it like, now I'm really uncomfortable. Now it's going to make things really uncomfortable because I might be without a house, you know, without a home. I might be homeless. So if I can't overlap it, you know, we're going to have to figure that out. Right. And so, but if you don't make yourself uncomfortable, you're not going to push. Right. So that's what now it's getting real uncomfortable.
Yeah. Well, quite. Goodness me. Well, I've got nothing but admiration for you for doing it. But I get, you know, it needs must though, isn't it? Again, it's this, you know, you've got to push one thing to then move forward on something else. So I get it, but I also get when I moved into this place, I again didn't have a cinema room for about 6 to 8 months, something like that. And it's not the same watching it on a 46-inch TV with stereo speakers. I get that. But you know, X Reel's an option.
Yeah. No, that's good. I think that's going to be it. That's going to have to be it, you know, because to be able to take in, especially the streaming stuff, you know, and all that, it's like, I mean, that's what I'm going to have to do. Everything else is just going to be waiting for it. And it's like, wow. Yeah. It's a reality, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, man. Yep. Yeah. Well, we'll just, like you say, just take it steady. At least you're going into it with your eyes open. It's not as though it's all completely, you know, unknown and but I appreciate it. It's cold comfort. Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. That's where we're at with that. And no, Carl, no chat afterwards, not for the foreseeable future with everything I got going now. I mean, like every minute I'm either going to be resting up for the next push or get up, go work, and rest. So, sorry about the Patreon chat, but yeah, literally it's like, that's what I'm taking stuff apart. And, you know, today's big project was taking my gym apart and getting it over to the new house. And it's like, I have a whole rack, a huge rack that's, you know, I got to take it apart, put it in the truck. Took like 4 trips just for the rack alone and just to get it back and forth and then get all the weights back and forth. Farmer's walk from 2 stories up. I have a set of 55s, a set of dumbbells, 55s, 50s, 45s, 40s, 35s, 30s, 25s, 20s, 15s, 10s. It's like, and I started with the lighter ones. I'm like, okay, I could take the 10s and the 5s together. And like, here we go. Like the 15s. No, I tried the 15s and 20s together. No, and it's just farmers walking. And then by the time I got to the 55s, you're like, here we go. It's like, get all that over there, get it set up on the rack back over there. And then, then the lifting rack and stuff, squat rack and all that. But
man.
Yep. So I got my workout in today, at least.
Yeah, man, it sounds like it. Yeah, definitely. Goodness gracious me. I mean, we might. I mean, DJ, if it helps with the Patreon chat, I mean, if we could do it on a different evening, or, I might be able to, host it via StreamYard if it can be done. It's not recorded, is it? So just dropping in.
No, you know where it is.
So that might be something.
Well, you know where it is. You could do it too if you wanted. You could hold one. So yeah. That'd be cool.
So that might be something we can sort out. Well, we'll have a little think of that, but that might be something we can do and lightens your load a bit. And yet patrons still feel they've got some extra access, and I can bore them to tears with various anecdotes from my experiences.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great idea. Yeah, I think people would like that too, because people are always asking for you anyways.
Oh man, well, cool. And this is the thing: if we do it on a different night, then it can be done a bit earlier, which is why I'm not on them very often, because obviously it's gone midnight by the time we finish. So it's it could be done at 10 o'clock my time, and then that's easily sorted.
Yeah. That'd be cool. All right. Cool. All right, we could do that. Sounds good. We'll talk about that.
All right. So shall I say hi to peeps in the chat?
Yeah, let's get to the chat. Yeah.
Okay. So Dorinda was first in earlier today. 12:20 p.m. my time. So that's that's going
7:20. No, 8 p.m.
Yeah.
It was a.m. here. Yeah.
Yeah. So TSG dropped in as well a few hours later. Went to try and watch Thunderbolts, but couldn't do it. So that's a shame. I hear good things.
Me too.
Steve is in the chat as well. Steve's in. Hey, and Paul's in. Paul did watch Thunderbolts earlier today in the Leicester Square IMAX, so he felt quite decadent.
Yeah.
Hey, Paul. But does say losing a bit of faith in IMAX. Well, join the club. Join the club. Not so much losing as lost, I think. Me. Mike is in. Hey, Mikey. Dom's in. Bonsoir, Dom. Good to see you. John Brock is in. Brock, I've seen in the chat for a bit.
Yeah, I hadn't heard from Steve Brock in a while, but he did have a comment to Steve Brock. He did have a comment in our YouTube last week, and I was like, hey, cool. Nice to hear from him. Nice to see you, John.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, good stuff. So he's in. Rach is in. Hi, Rach. She said it's okay to yawn. Thanks very much.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I won't be too much of it, but there may be some. And Beth's in. Hey, Beth. Good to see you back.
Jordan. Beth's in. Hey, Beth.
Yeah, Jordan's in. Marcus Beeb's in. Hey, Marcus. Carl's in. We've already mentioned Carl briefly. Hey, Carl. And I saw Martin J's in. Lane Smith's in. So, hey, Lane. And Billy Sellers just dropped in as well. So, hey, buddy.
Nice.
So there we go. Yeah, nice, nice gang is all here. The congregation is assembled.
Yeah. See, I can't even say. Star Wars Day. Oh, May the 4th be with you. Yes.
May the 4th.
Be with you. And also with you. Yeah, that's
and also upon you. Yes, indeed.
Yeah, I wasn't able to take in any. I literally took in no Star Wars other than just the opening of Star Wars for that demo, but I was able to take in some Star Wars stuff this week, so I got it in at other points. But yeah. So, but that was my son came over. It was funny. He came over to get his truck and do some stuff while the realtor was here, and his room needs to be cleaned out. And it's like, you can't even describe it. It's just like, it's a typical boy's room when the parents
still full of bike parts.
No. The bike parts are down here, and I already cleaned those out. He's got those are important, Steve. The bike parts are important. All the clothes and whatever is, you can't even describe it. But he's got to clean it, right? But he came. The only reason I mentioned he came over, not to embarrass that his room's dirty. It's that he come over. He's all done up. He's got his Star Wars T-shirt on. everybody's doing it. And I'm, happy to hear it. My daughter, she texted the whole group, the family, good looking monkeys. That's what we call ourselves, good looking monkeys. She texted early in the morning, happy Star Wars Day and everything. And may the force be with you. And so it's good that the whole family is, keeping the faith, so as it is. But, how was your Star Wars Day? Anything exciting?
I did do a Star Wars movie, although I didn't finish it. I had to watch it in bits again because of work, because, the 4th was what, Sunday? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was very much on call and in demand. So I started watching this film, which we'll talk about in a bit. And I don't think, other than in theaters, I've ever seen it in one, because it's somehow, as soon as it begins, calls just seem to happen. I get called away.
Yeah.
But I have finished it. So that was my Star Wars day. I didn't do anything else for it. Again, I just lived at the police station for that day. So yeah, and on the back of a long night the night before. So
that's like being at the cantina without
you
the
will
band.
never find a more wretched hive of scum and villainy. That is true. Yes. I did deal with someone who's wanted in, lots of different star systems.
Yeah. And actually, you want to talk about that right now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, cool.
Let's see. Let me move it over here. Since we both have it for this week, so we'll pull this up and
Oh, yeah.
There we go.
Okey-dokey.
We're talking, Star Wars Rogue One, a Star Wars story. And right off the jump, we can mention, just because you had just mentioned it, it's those characters are in Rogue One. They bump into them in the street, which is pretty cool.
Yes,
it's like,
Ponda Barber, isn't it?
Is that the name? I don't remember. John remembers those names like crazy. Yeah.
I can't think of the name of the human, but I think Ponda Barber is the one with the kind of the scrotal face, shall we say.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's him. But I can't remember the name of the other guy. But of course, not played by the same actor. But yes, they are in it. So Rogue One. Now, those who regularly listen to the show might be wondering why I, of all people, would have chosen Rogue One to watch on Star Wars Day, being as theoretically it is my second least favorite Star Wars film behind The Last Jedi. So why choose that? Well, 2 reasons. I think one, I've been watching Andor, and that's whetted my appetite for these characters and seeing them again and kind of seeing where this is going. Because I think I'm a bit with John when he talked last week about Andor has quite a bit of filler. So it's quite good to remind myself of where this is all headed and where the characters, and where by necessity, because they only had 2 hours, they're trying to move the story on a bit more quickly. That was one reason. And then 2, the other one is, again, I don't think I had seen, bizarrely as it turns out, my 4K copy of Rogue One, despite the fact I've had it since it came out. So I thought, well, this is a time to see it. So I put it on and I rewatched it. And again, I am one of the people who doesn't hitherto particularly like the movie. I always thought it was very choppy. You could see the joins because of the very troubled production that it had. And I thought up until now there were issues with what's her face, Felicity Jones, lip acting. She just juts out her lip, and that's kind of all she does. I'm not a big fan of Diego Luna, although I think he's better in this than he is in Andor. And so I had issues. And apart from the Darth Vader bit at the end, I had real issues with it. Now, I'm pleased to say I actually quite enjoyed this time round. And I think the delivery system, bizarrely, might have actually had an impact, because I did rather enjoy it this time. And I found myself being swept along with this much more than I have before.
Yeah.
So whether that's the Andor effect and it's the getting to know the characters more, and so it now kind of makes it more interesting, or whether it's the just seeing it in its 4K and Dolby Atmos glory, that it's kind of therefore more interesting, or all of them. It might be the whole thing. I don't know, all put together. But I actually had fun with this, even though I did watch it in about 5 different sittings, again because of work, and I finished it off earlier this evening. Um, so I can see now more why people really like it. I'm definitely more on board with this than I was before. So that was good. I think it's still a bit unforgivable we don't get Donnie Yen with a lightsaber. That should have been illegal, that we don't get that. It should have been in his contract.
But
come on.
But really though,
Man.
like, but I don't know. I kind of like him without it because I think he represents a piece that like, so put yourself in that. I'm trying to think of something analogous to us in our reality right now of like, of people, like the only thing I could say would be like athletes, professional athletes. We all, aspire to be, Wayne Gretzky, Tom Brady, Michael Jordan, or Pele, or whatever, going way back to the that sport with offsides.
Did you mention soccer?
Yeah,
wow.
football.
Absolutely.
There you go. But you know what I mean? So it's like you got to imagine in that world, in that galaxy like that there are Jedi, and they're but wouldn't there be people like himself that aspire to be one but never got to, right? And that's like the entire movie is him. He's like, the Force is with me, I'm one with the Force is with me, I'm one with the Force. And he's just whatever he can do. And it's like, if the Force is everywhere, and imagine like you're in this galaxy where they're saying the Force is part of everything, it's part of you just have to channel it. It's like, I remember thinking in science class, learning as a young kid in science that we use like 10% of our brains. And then you go home and go, I can levitate. You're trying to do the stupid things that maybe that's something you can do that we don't know about, right? And it's like, and that's all comes from even the idea of the Force. It's like, do we have these other powers? Well, here's a reality where you see people do it. Right? Jedi exist. They can do these things. And he's that guy that's like, he's not a Jedi, but he really wants to be one. Maybe could have been one, but the politics of it, he didn't get picked on the right team, whatever it is. It's like
born at the wrong time as well, I suppose, because of when this is happening, of course. I mean, I don't know how old he's supposed to be in Rogue One, but of course, Order 66 comes along, they all get bumped off. Apart from the select few that we're aware of. So of course he's never exposed to the training as far as I understand it that the others would have been. So I suppose he's just born in the wrong decade. Or again, that the timeline's slightly screwy, but I would have thought he's too young to
what about
trained.
this? That's I just had my one idea. That was just a hypothetical theory. Well, the theory, it's not a hypothetical theory, it's just a theory. But anyways, but your theory could be valid too, in that, what if he is a Jedi? And that's the way he's in hiding. No lightsaber, no nothing. You just go around being you. Right? And it's just, he's blind. Probably one of the best lines in all of Star Wars when they put the bag on his head. And he's like, are you kidding me? I'm blind. It's like, I mean, every time I see the movie, as soon as they come to that street scene, I'm like, oh, I can't wait to put, is this where they put the bag on his head? It's just like, his delivery of it is just deadpan awesome. It's like, are you kidding me?
I mean, he could be a Jedi. I mean, the Baze Malbus or whatever his name says, doesn't he? They're guardians of the wills. So they seem to be guardians of the temple, but they're not Jedi. They're not, or as far as we know. But I still think just selfishly, to see Donnie Yen wielding a lightsaber would have been very special. Be that as a Sith Lord or a Jedi, whatever it might have been, it would have been. I mean, I think there would have been comedy in giving him a lightsaber, letting him do something that even Jedi can't do, would have been fantastic. Right. I mean, that just would have been quite good fun. You could see someone handing it to him and him just doing all this stuff with it, and then like, oh right, you're not even a Jedi. Wow, it's just a crime against humanity, against cinema, that we didn't get to see him with a lightsaber. But we're used to that because he's in Blade 2. and we don't really get to see him cut loose with his swords either. He dies off camera. Spoiler alert. So it's kind of, it's just a case of poor old Donnie Yen getting ripped off with American movies. But yeah, so I think that's the shame. But otherwise, I did enjoy it more. I think it is an enjoyable movie, much more than it has been before, and there's some emotion to it that I didn't quite get previously as well. So it's good. But in terms of the home theater experience,
oh God.
That it's very, very nice indeed. It looks beautiful, and in fact, you can see the pockmarks on Donnie Yen's skin even in that image.
Yeah.
The close-ups on it are awesome.
Yeah,
really, really good. The colors are beautiful. All the lasers and all the blaster bolts and everything look amazing. The black of space looks great. I just think it does look beautiful. The detail on the ships. It seems to me that most of those ships were models rather than CG, because the detail level on them is exceptional at times, and very three-dimensional. So I really liked how it looked. Sound-wise, it's really good. It never goes as deep as Lucy or anything like that. It never really rattled my room, indeed. But it never really rattled the room, but it still sounds great. And I do love the TIE fighters zipping around the room. Whenever there's anything above you, you can just hear this stuff moving around. So it is a really good home theater experience, and all kinds of fun. And when the ship's towards the end on Scarif, that's just a demo sequence from the op. So good.
Going from space down to the planet and back. And I've talked about. I think I did this as a standalone. I've talked about this movie so many times on this show, and most recently was only a few months ago, right? When I got Dolby Vision. Seeing that. And I said it back then, I'm not sure if it's just the Dolby Vision ability or the Lumigen was upgraded to improve the HDR, regardless of the Dolby Vision. Even if you weren't using Dolby Vision, even HDR was improved. But this is one of those movies that really benefits from a well-calibrated system and the HDR, because I've seen this movie so many times that I remember when I first got it at home and I was a little disappointed. I thought things like that opening scene, I thought looked a little bit grayed out, like Solo does at times. So I wasn't crazy about the disc, right? And I was like, oh, okay. But I really liked this movie, so I just kept watching it. And then, of course, as I end up with the, a video processor, that upped it a little bit and that made it better. But now the image quality that I'm getting, that opening scene, and I said it when we talked about it a few months ago, is that you see why it's grayed out. You see how humid that planet is. You see the water droplets. I see details that I couldn't see before, that quite honestly, I would be willing to bet that if you had even the best 65-inch OLED, it's 65 inches. So all those little tiny things are going to be that little tiny on a smaller screen. So you don't really see it. Whereas if you blow it up to 110, those droplets are bigger. And now I can see them. And I'm like, holy crap. You see the water droplet on Ben Mendelsohn's face, right? Because you see, what's his name? The father that
Galen Erso.
Yeah. Caleb. Well, I was trying to think of the actor's name.
Oh, it's Mads Mikkelsen.
Yes. But you see him, he's soaked, right? His hair's a mess. He's wet. Everything's wet.
He's got droplets on him as well. Yeah.
Right. But you see that, but he's been outside for a while. Whereas Ben Mendelsohn, for me, he's always been in, but now you get to see that coat, that shawl that he's wearing is a raincoat. And you see the water on that and and it all makes so much more sense, even on the troopers that are with him. Everything. It's just, and then the atmospheric depth you get with the haze and everything, all of that. And then that translates all the way through the movie. You get to the part with the TIE fighters. I talked about it then when he was going to shoot the father. Remember? And you go inside the ship, you go outside where it's raining, you go inside the ship, just the different depths of field you get, the black levels. It's just so well done. It's such a great disc. And to me, it's one of those things where it's like, Same disc all the way through, right? But at the beginning, I was like, this isn't a very good disc. But then as my system improved, you're like, damn, this is a good disc.
Yeah, well, quite. Well, I like how the planet glows at the beginning as well. The first time you see it, and you see the ring around the planet, and it genuinely seems to glow, and that's your HDR giving you that pop that you wouldn't have had. I mean, I've got this movie. I had it on Blu-ray, 3D Blu-ray, and then 4K, but it glows in this and is that much more kind of colorful and inviting because of it. I still think whenever I see Galen Erso at the beginning, so Mad Mikkelsen with his shirt, I always think he's got an X-Armor shirt on, which always takes me out of the movie, and then I realize it's really not. It's a little symbol, but for all the world, it looks like he's got like an Under Armour or an X-Armor shirt on. It's just like, I can't take my head off that. Now, there's one thing I noticed though with the extra detail, and again watching this. Now, tell me this, Steve, and we do need John maybe for this. So Vader, right? Yeah. So we know he has his breathing apparatus, and I think I remember reading this in a Star Wars book. You know, like the art of Star Wars or whatever it was, and the mechanics of it. So he has his ventilator on the front of his tunic. Yeah. And that's what's controlling his breathing apparatus. All right. I think. All right. Someone will tell me in the chat if I'm wrong, or John will rise from grandpappy duty and jump in and tell me I'm wrong. Now, when you see him at the end, when the corridor is all dark and you hear him breathe before you see him, the ventilator lights are off. So when he then lights his lightsaber, there's no light on his chest at all. Huh. And so what I'm wondering is that, and I noticed because of course the lights shine, so much more pronounced in HDR, that he's got it off. It's off. There's no light coming on it at all. Now, I didn't think he could turn it off, because presumably if you do, he dies. Yeah, but he actually switches it off. Yeah, so if you watch it again, next time you see it, you watch when he turns it on. There are no lights on that chest plate at all. And of course, the reason there aren't is because it's not as cool if you can see the lights first. It's only cool when he ignites the red lightsaber. So, but either that's a mistake, or it's for just dramatic effect, or Vader's showing off.
Right. Well, what if it's like the front panel of a lot of our home theater equipment where you can shut the panel off? For stealth mode, because you don't want that glowing at the front of the room when you're watching a movie. Well, if you're trying to sneak around ninja-like, you don't exactly want to have his glowing chest like, here comes Vader.
I didn't notice it before, but I did this time. And you watch, it's not on. It's not switched on. You know what I mean? The lights are not on. It's not real. I know that.
Right. Yeah.
But none of the lights are on. And again, it must be because if you can see those lights, there's no reveal. Whereas but I understood you couldn't turn them off. Yeah. And I've never seen him without them on other times. When he's got his tunic on, the lights are always there. Yeah. So, there it is.
Yeah, it's like, Joe Klosnick in the chat saying Darth Vader had a dimmer like the dash lights in your car.
Paul says, talking to that, hello, my mouse is switched off. Paul says, you think he wheezes a lot now, you should hear it when he forgets to clean the filters. And then God. John says, maybe Vader uses the Force to temporarily turn the lights off. Yeah, that'll stuff him.
Do you ever think Vader's like walking around and he's like banging it, like, come on, turn on. Like you bang the side of your equipment, like, come on.
Didn't get the batteries.
Jump started. It's like, I'm running out of battery.
Yeah, but presumably then, if we do this in canon and in camera, this is Vader going, this will look cool if I turn the lights off. You watch this.
Oh yeah. Well, and the other part is like, as I'm saying it, like he's walking, he needs to be stealthy walking around, but does he? He's Vader. It's like,
and also he's making a lot of noise when he breathes.
Yeah, breathing. It's like, I wonder who that could be.
No one else breathes quite like that. Yeah, so it did occur to me. I hadn't noticed that before.
Asthmatic assassin coming to get you. What the hell?
Turn it back on, quick.
We're losing him. Well, it's Vader. Let him go.
Done.
Oh, God.
But no, it's a lot better this time, and it looks and sounds great. So even though it might not be as dynamic as some of the discs we've reviewed of late, I genuinely had a good time with it. I'm almost contradicting myself. I had a good time when I saw it, rather than my usual, which is Rogue One. So yeah, there we go. Home theater. Who knew it could enhance the experience?
Who knew? Yeah, exactly. I saw it, like you said before we started. I was like, yeah, I got that one too. And you're like, copycat. I was like, yeah. As soon as I saw you had it in there, I was like, all right, I'm getting that one in too. And I can't. I'd never miss an opportunity. And if you're going to talk about it, I couldn't wait. So, but
so it was my second least favorite. But I'm not doing The Last Jedi anytime soon. That does not need to be seen again anytime soon. You've not seen that one that often either, have you? I don't hear you talk about that one very often.
No, I don't mind it as much as a lot of people. Like I like all of them, to be honest with you. You know, I can watch all of them. Like if I get going, I'll be like, all right, let's go 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9. And I'll do that in a week and have a blast doing it. As a matter of fact, this one here, it's like I almost did, because I'll talk about it in a little bit, but I did do Revenge of the Sith. So we'll talk about that. Yeah. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but I was like, I downloaded the Dolby Vision version of that. And then I also did episode 2 and, Attack of the Clones. So I was like, oh yeah. And I was going to do all of those. And then, just especially if I had the time on Star Wars Day, I was like, yeah, that'll be a fun one to do those, because it all does come right into Andor. And to know, even if you go back to, Attack of the Clones and go right into 3 and then, see what's going on with Andor and then Rogue One. And what I like to do, like even today, I finished Rogue One today and again, went right into Star Wars again. So that's, and it's, you see, I thought you were going to say about Vader is that, like in Star Wars, the detail level we get now in that opening scene, he's all battered and his mask is like the costume department wasn't on their game. It's like you can almost see like the duct tape underneath the lacquer on his helmet holding the thing together. But then again, he did just come from the battle, right? So he did just take out an entire ship worth of soldiers.
Well, yes. Although I think that if they're going to make that, he should have walked in in episode 4, sort of go, oh God, me back. Oh, do you know what? That was just build loads of them. You should see it back there.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, exactly. Did you catch the one that he impaled at the door?
Yes.
When the saber comes through the door, through the guy. It's like, that's, you don't see that a lot in Star Wars. You don't see a lot of impalements and stuff, but even to suggest it, I thought was a big deal.
Well, he also cuts the guy in. He sends one of them up into the roof and pins him there. But he does, exactly. He just casual as anything. With that as well. Like,
he Darth Mauled him.
Well, so he survived.
Yeah. He's like got spider legs now, but that's all right.
That's all good. Yeah.
So
it was very, very, very cool this time. Like I said, that would have been interesting to go back and do those as well. I mean, so of the original 3 then, Deej, bear in mind, I know we're going to talk Revenge of the Sith in a bit. What is your order of the prequels then? Not the original 3, you know what I mean? What's your order of the prequels? Sorry.
My order of
in favorites
of the prequels. Or the original. I don't think we've ever
done that. Sorry, man, I said it wrong. I'm tired. Prequels,
okay.
Not the
prequels. So 1, 2, and 3. So Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith. I would say it goes pretty much backwards. 3, 2, 1.
Okay.
3, 2,
really? Right.
3, 2, 1 is my
3
favorite.
Your favorite? Okay.
Of those 3,
is your least favorite of the 3?
Yeah. It's it's like, I like it. And I do think you need it in Star Wars because it gets you, I mean, as I'm not as hung up on, Jar Jar as everybody is. It's like, I get what they're doing there. It's like, because to be honest with you, I always bring this up. It's like when they introduce Ewoks, those irritated me more than Jar Jar because I mean, Star Wars didn't really have, Star Wars cute thing was R2. There weren't any cutesy things in Star Wars or in Empire, right? And now they're trying to, so they introduce Ewoks and Jedi, and we're like, oh, they're cutesy and this and that. And I was like, get those things out of my Star Wars. Because now I'm also that, petulant kid that's just like, this isn't my Star Wars. I don't want that. I'm all grown up now. I don't need cutesy teddy bears running around with bows and arrows and slingshots. So I didn't like that. But I, grow up later and you realize, all right, it's marketing, right? Jar Jar comes along, dumb as a stump, but, it's with a speech impediment. It's like, and it's like, I get this. I can, get past that. But I mean, to be honest with you, I remember, wasn't it the same for you? It was like when they said they were doing these and we got episode 1, we couldn't wait for 3 because we couldn't wait to see how they built up to what we already know. I mean, when else in cinematic history have you had an episode 4, 5, and 6, and 20 plus years later, you get episode 1, 2, and then 3, and it's like, you heard rumors on the playground, literally when you were a kid, you literally heard rumors that he made 9 of these and these were the 4. And now how are they going to end this episode 3 and tie it right into episode 4? How does that happen? And that's all we couldn't wait for. Right. Yeah. And so, that's that order. And, I thought episode 2 has the Attack of Clones scenes, the big battle in the stadium thing, the way everything's now you start to see things come to fruition. You see where stormtroopers came from, they're clones. Yeah. We never knew that before. When I was growing up, I thought they were robots. That's, we all thought they're just robots. They were like, oh, they just took the guts out and put the suit on. I didn't know what they were. Now you find out they were clones. If you said they were clones back when we were kids, I would have been like, what the hell's a clone?
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah. And then, but Phantom Menace is like, setting the foundation of everything, really. So,
yeah. See, for me, it's 1, 2, 3. Really? My favorites go in that order. Yeah. I mean, the problem with, I think the Phantom Menace with me is that one, I love the lightsaber fights in that. I love Darth Maul's awesome. So I really like the film, and I don't have an issue with the dialogue and all that kind of stuff. Even with Jake Lloyd, I didn't have an issue with him because it's the idea of he's a young kid and the more innocent and kind of even silly that he is, the greater the tragedy is because we know what's coming. Yeah. So the movie I love, and the Obi-Wan Darth Maul lightsaber fight is just one of the great cinematic sword fights ever filmed. I personally think. So there's that, but also I wrap it up with what was going on. My voice is going. Excuse me. I wrap it up also with what was going on at the time. I mean, I was new into the cinema that I was working at. We had lines around the block for the trailer, lines around the block for when the movie came out. And I'd already seen it 10 times before. I kid you not, I'd seen it 10 times before it came out in the UK in theaters. Can't really say how, but I had. And so it does help that you were working at a theater at the time. It was a whole movement. It was a time. It was so that for me is one why Phantom Menace will always have its special place in my heart. Attack of the Clones for similar but slightly different reasons, because I saw that at a midnight showing. I was no longer working at the theater when that came out, but I knew all the staff. And at the midnight showing, it's worth telling the thing, Deej. So that night that it came out, a friend and I were due to go and see it. We might as well reminisce. It was Star Wars Day.
Sure.
So a friend and I were due to go and see Attack of the Clones, midnight showing, big local theater. It was going to be great. But another friend of ours was demanding the return of Spider-Man on VHS that I had borrowed for whatever reason. And this particular night, he's like, I've got to have it back now. And we're like, what? Anyway, and he was the other side of town. So I drive over there, we drop it off, and it's about 11:30 by this point. And the movie starts at midnight. So we race across town, humming the Star Wars theme as we go, tear up the motorway, dread to think the speed we were doing. By this point, I'd rang ahead and said to my colleagues at the theater, previous colleagues, we're on our way, are there seats? Because of course there was no pre-booked seating. It was all, get there in the queue and that's it. So I didn't know where we were going to be sat. I was like, what are we going to do? So we scream into the parking lot, leap out of the car. I think I turned the engine off, leapt out the car, go running across, tear into the theater, running into the auditorium. And I kid you not, Deej, right? I swear to you now, as God is my witness, right in the middle, halfway up, smack bang in the middle, there were 2 theater jumpers on the seats, one for me and one for my friend. And the rest of it was full. So we walk in at like 2 minutes to midnight. They've all got their lightsabers. There's people dressed as Princess Leia and all this stuff. And people have got standees of their characters. And right in the middle were these 2 seats for us. And so we go in, we move the sweaters, the jumpers, and we sit down. And the movie began. So that's got a special place in my heart because of that.
Oh, God.
And the theater erupted when Yoda walks around the corner with Dooku is taking out those 2. So that was amazing. But then by the time we get to Revenge of the Sith, it's not quite like that. So that was just, we saw it at 10 o'clock in the morning, and it was, it wasn't the same. So that, I think, has got something to do with my order. Yeah. But I like them all, in fairness. But Phantom Menace for me is number 1, Attack of the Clones and Sith. But there we go.
It is. I mean,
that's the ABC to me.
Yeah, that's a great point too. It's like the same reason. Like if I go with the originals, Star Wars beats out Empire just because it was the first one, right? Empire is the better movie. It's better action. It's better. I mean, everything about it is, the story really takes off there. But Star Wars is, and having just watched probably 20-25 minutes of it a few minutes ago. I mean, Mark Hamill's acting is just, it's like, and I don't want to do that. You're like, oh my God, I would have shot you with a blaster myself. It's like, I mean, it's brutal. Like, I don't know why.
Toshi Station.
I don't know why he kept him around the damn farm. I'd let him go. It's so irritating. Go, kid, get out of here. It's like, hire another droid and get him out of here. But at the time we just like, I want to be Mark Hamill. And as a kid, I probably was, but I don't want to do my homework. You're like, friggin' Luke. But that, like you said, Phantom Menace, when that came out, the hype, because again, like I said, we never knew we were getting these. And what did we find out, like 2 years before, something that this was all happening? And we're like, it was such a big deal. And the waiting in those lines, and, because there wasn't, kids long ago, we didn't get to pick our seats ahead of time. But that was the fun of it. That was like, you had to go there early and wait in line with all these people dressed up. And, the most I ever did was wear a t-shirt, Star Wars. And I probably did that for, 3. And the first one I didn't, but those were all midnight showings for me. Those were all, first viewing, midnight showings. And those were, I don't know how popular it was there, but we had midnight showings that were like, there were like 8 of them. And there was only one at midnight. Every other one that was after that was 12:05. Right. So if you got the one, you were like, that was the big, I saw it at midnight. My ticket said 12 o'clock. It's like, you didn't get the 12:05. All the other ones started afterwards. So they even made that a big deal to try and get you to get that ticket.
Yeah. Well, in this theater I was working in, so we had 12 screens. And what you used to do, and of course, kids, we used to have this thing called celluloid. Movies used to come on reels. Yeah. And so what they would do is what they were doing there is the projectionist, because again, this is one of the reasons I was able to see it so many times, because once the projectionist had assembled the film, they had to check the print. And if you worked there, you could sit in there and watch the check print. But what they would do is they would run the spool off of one projector up and over the roof, up over the ceiling, and then down into the next projector. So you could run them simultaneously. So we had, I think from memory, we had 12 midnight showings. There was a showing in every screen, and still had people queuing down the block. And so that's how they would do them. And so they'd have 6 prints and they just run them up and over. And each time, I mean, heaven forbid one broke. There'd have been a riot. Yeah, but somebody did happen occasionally, not that night. It was an event. And of course, the other thing was, for us again over here, of course, we knew they were shooting it at Leavesden, Leavesden's just outside of London, and that
Okay.
at that time was a very new studio, and not many people knew where they were shooting it. And because we'd been to that place I talked to you about before at Elstree Studios, where they had dropped off stormtrooper costumes to them, they'd been telling us about the things they'd seen when they'd walked onto set, and they were describing the Coruscant set. We later discovered. So we went to Leavesden after that. We went there and were walking around the perimeter, and they didn't have much security because no one really knew what was going on. So we were able to kind of, so that all built the excitement and got us all kind of, jonesing for it. I think I said to you before, I was going to kick a football over the fence and then go, "Oh, can I get my ball back? Do you mind if I just, grown man?
Yeah.
But can I just get my ball back and then have a quick
Can I get my ball?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. To see me in the background of the Coruscant set with a football underarm.
So it's Heisman.
Yeah. No one knows. Yeah, exactly. So it was, so all that kind of fed into it. And there was that excitement of when it then hit.
Yeah.
That just, it'll forever be indelible to me as therefore my favorite of those three. But yeah. So there you go. Anyway, we'll stop reminiscing now.
We'll talk a little bit. We'll take a break for Star Wars for right now, and we will talk a little bit more about that a little later.
So,
I'll bring up. Yeah, exactly. We have Andor to talk about, and then we have, and obviously I got episode 3. All right, what would you like?
Take your pick, buddy.
You want to do this one?
Oh, yes.
John's been dying to hear about this.
Yes.
This is the one, right?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Here we go.
Okay. So finally, only about a year after the rest of the known universe, I finally managed to watch The Penguin, the limited series. Very limited, as it turns out, because it doesn't look like there's going to be a follow-up. Certainly, if not anytime soon, anyway. It's because I think, is it David Zaslav or Zaslav, the Warner's head, has said there are no plans for a second one. So very limited series, 4K, UHD, Dolby Atmos. First time I'd seen it. I hadn't seen any of it previously. Those that are long-time listeners of the show will know that I tend to wait for 4K disc because I don't want to watch it on our very low-rent Now TV sort of system over here. So it's exceptional, but that.
Yeah.
I don't think in terms of the series I'm quite putting it up there with the best TV shows of all time. Don't think it's quite there with Breaking Bad and 24 and Game of Thrones. I would say somewhat agree, but, I don't think it's quite there. But then, in fairness, this is 8 episodes. It's not 8 seasons.
Right.
So this has a much shorter time frame in which to tell its story, but it is exceptionally told. And I don't think, and I was thinking about this, Deej, maybe you can help me with this as a question. Has an actor, an A-list actor, and I'm talking here about Colin Farrell, so we know, ever disappeared themselves physically as well as, emotionally, into a role in a series like this?
In a series.
Can you think of anyone else who has disappeared themselves like he has in this? Because I can't think of a single one. Even in movies, I'm struggling to think of someone who has removed themselves. I mean, you might say Carl Urban in Dredd because you don't see his face.
Yeah.
But he's still him, and it's his accent, and you can tell it's him.
Right.
Whereas this this takes Chameleon to a whole new level.
Right. Yeah.
This is it is an incredible performance to the point where he reminds me in this, by the way, of Robert De Niro in The Untouchables as Al Capone. Yeah. And at times in this, he's doing the mannerisms and the facial expressions as well. And so had you told me there was an actor who looked like this, I just think, well, that's him. I wouldn't. You just don't see Colin Farrell in this performance at all.
The only one that I would, for series, and again, it doesn't have the same prosthetics and everything for the face, but the only one that I would put close to it would have been Vincent D'Onofrio as Kingpin, and how like, I mean, he not only embodied Kingpin, but he made it him, right? He actually took it like to the point that like who else could play him now, right? It's like it's and like the hand gestures, his manner, the way he spoke, and the strength, and then even just seeing it in this episode, in this past Daredevil season, and that he lost weight. The character lost weight, right? Which has been part of the Kingpin's character, is his size. And the fact that so all of that stuff, it's like going back those 3 seasons, it's like you forgot that's Vincent D'Onofrio compared to, think of the roles that he's played going back to, what was not Hamburger Hill.
Full Metal Jacket.
Full Metal Jacket. Sorry. Yeah. Because he has talk about monologues. He has the whole thing, but his face and that, and how you look at those 2 snapshots, right? You don't know that's the same man. It's like,
quite,
he's thin, he's younger, of course, but I've seen him in stuff recently where he doesn't look like what he looks like as Kingpin. So that would be the closest. But this is like, you have to explain to people this is Colin Farrell.
Well, this is the thing. Like, I can't think of another actor. And again, I mean, okay, there is a debate about whether he's an A-list actor, perhaps not, but he's certainly one time he was. Yeah. But I can't think of another actor. Tom Cruise in Vanilla Sky, maybe. But otherwise, you're looking at Brad Pitt, Timothy Chalamet. All these A-listers have never done a thing where you can't tell physically that it's them.
Right.
Whereas
I just thought of one. I just thought of another one. Comedic was Tom Cruise in Tropic Thunder.
True.
That was one. Everybody was like, that's not, that's just the movie though. But it's like, it's not a series, but that's one where you went, are you kidding me? Because like it put you off guard. Cause one, Tom Cruise had never done anything like that. Right. Yes. Never done anything that campy. It was so outside of the norm for him. Not that he can't play some funny roles and do some, but he had never done anything like that. And it's like, and the funny thing is, at the time that came out, Tom Cruise was all about like, it's Tom Cruise. He's just handsome. He's the leading man. He's this, and here he is in Tropic Thunder, and he's like literally Penguin. He's like, what I mean? Like he's hideous looking. He's like, oh my God, like, and he's obscene. He's all this stuff. It's like, you didn't know you waited for the credits. Like, that's gotta be Tom Cruise, right? That's crazy. He did that, because we didn't know when that came out.
Well, quite well. He famously said to Ben Stiller when he said, I'll be in it, but I've got to have big hands and I'm going to dance. That was the reason to be in it. So he buries himself in this role. It is an exceptional performance, and every little mannerism, every little, even the way he walks, even the way he looks and squints is just incredible. I mean, it is a towering performance that really, by all accounts, should be Emmys all day long, because it's incredible. I do love the way, by the way, the first time we see him, he's got his umbrella. I do like the fact we see him. That's one of the first things we see him of, is with his penguin umbrella as he's walking. I thought that was a nice touch. But anyway, so the series I thought was really good, and just as it's becoming a little formulaic, it changes and becomes something else. So I think it's very, very good indeed. I really did enjoy it. So that's the series. In terms of how it looks and how it sounds, it looks phenomenal in 4K. And again, the HDR. So obviously quite a lot of it takes place at night. And you've got then all of the neon signs, the colors of the vehicles. And of course, that's a motif of the show as well, the purple cars. But the detail on his makeup, again, you can see it in that picture there. Every little mark. I became fascinated with the scar across his cheek and how it then goes down and almost becomes like a cleft palate. And I was just found myself watching that and thinking like, then I can't see any makeup joins, and it just looks so detailed. It's incredible. It's so good. And then when the CG then kicks in and it then dovetails beautifully with the Batman, all that still looks great and very three-dimensional. So it looks awesome, sounds really good. It's not, it's not one of those mixes where, you know, it's not a blockbuster movie mix. I don't think it's a TV mix, but it's perfectly acceptable. And all the Gotham City stuff, you hear things all around. You know, when there are gunshots going off, it's all good. But it's not a movie mix, I would say. And bear in mind, the Batman has a movie mix to end all movie mixes. So that's maybe a slight thing against it, but it was never less than riveting. It's very, very good indeed. So yeah, I had a great time with it. And I'm glad I waited, because this is how I'd rather see it than week by week, because I could just kind of, you know, just keep going with it when I wanted to, or then take a, you know, break when I needed to as well. Yeah, it was great. Really, really impressed with this. And anyone, I think, just mentioned in the chat of, you know, not getting the 4K disc or not seen it yet, don't see it on TV. Don't stream it.
Right.
Get the disc. This is the way to see it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Because I got it on. I have it on the Kaleidoscape. I watched the whole series, you know, as it came out and streaming. But then when I got it on Kaleidoscape, I checked out a few of the scenes, and it's like, that's definitely the way to watch it. I'll definitely redo the series again sometime. Because it is that good. But it's the detail and everything is so much more enhanced on the 4K, and the audio as well. I mean, of course, you know, we say that all the time, streaming over physical. Well, physical's audio is way better than the streaming counterpart. But I was going to say, what's her name? Sophia in the. Yes. Oh my God. The woman that, what was her name that played it?
I'm not sure what the actress name is. I can find it.
They named her as a, one of the Dork Awards got her name for her, you know, acting. They give an award every year for the best acting without any lines. And her facial expressions throughout that series were like, you were scared the crap out of you.
Kristen Milotti.
Okay. Yeah. And she's just, she was awesome. She was awesome. You know, and I mean, she owned him through the series, right? Yes. She was like, it's, oh my God. So
it's a role that I think on the page, you could look at that and think that's actually quite a thankless role, because there's not a lot of emotion. She's quite contained, isn't she, deliberately? And yet she brought some real toughness to that role and vulnerability. When she's in Arkham, you see and feel that kind of that vulnerability, and yet she's got to do it in a way that still portrays strength. So it's a real
tons of strength, but she was also a sympathetic character too. Yeah, the way they wrote it, the way she played it, it's like she was the badass, but at the same time, she's like worse than Penguin. And then, but at the same time, you were sympathetic for her, whereas at times you didn't really get a lot of sympathy for him. It's like, you're just like, he is who he is. And then they start telling you even more backstory with some flashbacks. And you're like, oh my God, this guy's
Penguin, cold-blooded killer. Surely not.
Yeah. Like just brutal. Yeah. Brutal. So really good. Really good.
It was very cool. It was everything you guys said it was, you know, because all those weeks, you guys were going, oh, this is the Sophia episode. And I'm just going, do, you know, trying not to take any of it in. And you guys talking about how good it was. And yet, you know, you were all, obviously, because it's us, you were 100% correct.
Well, we try. Jordan had one in the chat. It's hard to recognize Gary Oldman in some of the roles he's played too.
Yeah.
What was which president did he play? Did he play Nixon?
Was it
him, or was it? Did he play?
Well, Truman? Hopkins played Nixon. He played memorably Winston Churchill in The Darkest Hour.
Oh, that's
And he did. He certainly vanished into the role there. But I always think of Gary Oldman as a character actor primarily. Even when he's sort of got a lead role, I still think of him as a character actor. Whereas Colin Farrell's, you know, your pretty boy. You know, I mean, the guy was just complete lack of ego. Just create this character and just disappear into it and never let you know, hey, I'm Colin Farrell. Take some I suspect because he's been through the mill. He obviously had some rough times. He was a bit of a wild man for a while. That's not allegedly. He was. And he went through things and he had some difficult times. And I suspect only to go through all that, come out the other end and be confident in that who you are lets you then do a role like this, because it is just exceptional. Very, very good.
Oh, there's one more we have to recognize. I mean, come on. Robin Williams? Hello.
Oh, Mrs. Doubtfire dear. Yes, you Virginator Doubtfire dear. But he is in it as himself from some of it as well.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
he
It goes back and forth.
Yeah.
It's like, hello.
Yes.
Oh, God. That's funny.
Oh, yeah. No, he did. Yeah, he is good in that. But he doesn't do it for the whole movie.
Right.
Whereas Harold just gone in this.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so good.
All right.
So good.
All right. Glad you enjoyed it. So there you
Oh,
go. All right. Let's see. Let me touch on. Oh, wait a minute. I actually have to load this one up quickly. I'm just going to touch on this really quick before we get.
Yeah, no, go for it. Yeah, no worries.
Oh,
while
actually,
you're doing that, so Paul Hurt just says, just in the chat, said, I'd love to know how D'Onofrio found that voice. It's totally convincing and not his normal speaky voice. That's the Kingpin voice,
Yeah.
of course. So he's saying that. Yeah, Martin J says all the actors were excellent in The Penguin. I think that's fair. Yeah, I didn't catch anyone kind of mugging for the cameras. And then Jordan says, I did watch the show on streaming first so I could avoid the spoilers. And yet I've stayed away from spoilers and hadn't seen a second of it until this. So that was quite fortunate, especially the way Twitter's going at the moment. It seems that, as soon as stuff's out, it's being spoiled. And we're going to talk about one of those in a minute.
Yeah. I'm having a little trouble here getting this to load in because I have to do something special with it. And I forgot to do
Rach
that.
was saying that the Penguin was very good. It is indeed. Yeah, I think it's universal love. No one seems to be saying anything other than awesome in relation to the Penguin. So fair play.
Yeah.
There we go. Oh, and Rachel was saying good night. Right, night, Rach.
All right. Good night.
There we go. Just reminding me of the time. Thanks, Rach. Cheers for that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Damn it.
Although even as I see you loading this up, Deej, I realize you've got the wrong title.
I know. Now, yeah, that's one of the.
It's tricky in and of itself, isn't it? Because Marvel spoiled that.
Yep. Where are we going with here now?
All right.
Let me see if I can get this to. All right, there we go. Now, it's just this new thing that StreamYard allows you to do, and I'm picky, so I want it to. Oh, there we go.
There we go. Ready to.
All right. All that to say, oops, there we go. Thunderbolts with an asterisk.
Oh yeah.
As we said, John has seen it. I have seen it. Steve, you haven't yet, correct?
No, ran out of time. I was thinking of it, although I've had it spoiled for me now, so I'm not sure I need to see it in the theaters. We shall see.
Oh, it's good. It's worth seeing.
When I say spoiled, I mean completely spoiled. The whole lot.
Really?
Yeah. Including end credit scenes, the lot.
Oh, really? How did that happen?
It's all on Twitter. It's all being streamed on Twitter with it says Thunderbolt spoilers, but then the video is already running. So it's already there. I mean, the whole thing has been spoiled. Yeah. So I all character beats, who does what the name is, and then the ending, all been on Twitter, the lot.
Yeah, I saw you and John's conversation today. It's like I was wicked busy, and I looked down at my phone, and I'm like, 16 messages I missed. It's like you guys going back and forth about it, and title was changed. All of that stuff has been. Yeah. Marvel did that, right?
Yeah, officially.
Yeah, they officially changed it. So I saw a little bit of that. I didn't know if it was a gag or if they were really just changing it, but. Yeah, we'll definitely talk about this next week because John's super excited about it. John had a blast with it. I really liked it. I don't think I liked it as much as John, but I did.
The quote being, Deej, top 5 Marvel.
Top 5, but then he did.
Yes,
it's like
wrote it back.
You got it. It's so hard to do because I was thinking the same thing. I never, and that's why I said I think he liked it more than I did because I never went that far. I went as far as saying top quarter. It's so hard because you know how many movies there have been. And then when you say, and like John said today, he's like top 5, but then you start listing the top 5 and you're like, it's not better than that. It's not better than that. It's not better than that. Next thing you know, you're at like 12 And you're like, oh yeah, it's like, it's scary, like how many Marvel movies there are and then how many are really good. But yeah, it is really good. It's one of those that, I hate to say it's a must see because it's so hard, but if you've been following along the MCU all along, like we have, it's like, how do you skip it now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. You know what I mean? It's like, but this is really getting things back on track to where they're starting to build to what we were going through back before, Infinity War, Endgame type stuff. And the excitement is there. And, there's a lot of nuggets in this about what's to come in the next couple of years at least. But yeah, and the movie itself is really good. I don't know if it's necessarily good as a standalone. All right.
Okay.
Yeah. Like, so if you're not familiar with the MCU and if you are like, well, it's like, it's a good movie because some of them are really good. Like you can go see any of the Spider-Man movies and they're good on their own. And if you know the backstory, it's more, it's just enhanced. Where this is, these characters, you're like, why are they getting together? Why is this happening? Why is going on here? It's like, there's so much that needs to be, you need a lot of the backstory for this.
Interestingly, moving forward, I don't know if you saw or I read an article last couple of days, Kevin Feige's he's essentially, the message has been received that, people are staying away from some of these films now because they don't know all the backstory. They haven't seen all the movies. And there's going to be a stipulation moving forward that you should be able to watch any movie as a standalone.
Right.
That they're going to kind of draw a line under it and then have, each film have its own thing. I mean, I don't know why you can't have a 7-minute previously on before each one, if that's what you want to do, and try and have a happy medium. Because I don't know how do you tell Avengers Doomsday without, with just assuming it's all one movie?
Well, that one you wouldn't, because that's the culmination, right? Just like the Avengers movie was, when that came out, it was a culmination, but it is a good standalone if you haven't seen any of the other ones. And if you remember back the early MCU movies, they all were great standalones that, like any Iron Man movie, maybe if you'd seen the other Iron Man, like say 2 comes out, that was a good standalone movie. But if you'd seen the first Iron Man, you'd get some information from that, but you didn't need to know anything else in the MCU. Obviously, it wasn't much of an MCU at the time, but the same with the Thor movies. But they started to get into the weeds a bit with the Captain America, where you're like, Civil War. That's really kind of Avengers 2.5, right? It's like, it's not really a Captain America movie, but it's still a good standalone movie because these characters come in, and if you didn't see any other movie, it doesn't really matter. But this one here, they're so deep into the MCU that every single one of these characters comes from different places. Some come from a series, some come from movies, some come from both. And you're like, what happened here? It's like, where did these come from? And like, why do they have a relationship? Why do they even care about each other at all? And you need to have seen something else. Cause I mean, it's a good movie, and it's fun watching them interact, all of these characters. But if you haven't seen anything else, you really are like, why do they care? They don't care. Why do they not care? I don't get this, Yeah. So it does need a little bit of that. But.
And also there's a timeline issue, isn't there, in terms of with Bucky and then kind of what happened in Captain America, the Brave New World. He seems to be in a very different place to what he's in this. And I don't know if they explain that in this or not, but that seems to be a timeline overlap that is a bit strange. Well, because he's very different in that.
Yeah. There is. I mean, you'll see it. I like the Bucky in this. I like his dual role. And again, we'll talk more about that next week with John and stuff, and we can get into a little bit, but this isn't a spoiler because the name is the character's name. But when he first showed up on screen and they called him Bob, I was like, Top Gun Maverick is in the MCU.
Yeah.
I was like, I want to know any other name was that done on purpose? It's like, I mean, they literally just call him Bob, and they make fun of Bob, just like in Maverick. And I'm like, now, you're getting these roles way ahead of time. Did he know that did they make him that because they could have made his call sign anything in Maverick.
Yeah.
Right. And they could have said anything, but he's Bob, baby on board. They made fun of him there. But it's like, as soon as I saw him, I started cracking up. I was like, seriously? He's Bob? It's like, talk about being typecast.
Yeah, well, quite. Yeah, I don't know if there's any other movie you can think of where they're not related in any way, and the character's got exactly the same name.
Yeah,
because I don't think there's many.
And they reference it the exact same way. It's like, Bob, It's like, it was so great. So great.
I might try and see it for next week so that when we, all three of us are back, then, I can join in a little bit more. But as I said, I know all the beats and all the twists, and I won't need to stay for the end credit scenes because I've seen them both. But, still, it's very cool.
Yeah, the mid credit, the end credit. Yeah.
There we go. Look at this. So there we go. Jordan says.
Yeah.
So
no, I don't. Yeah, I do that. But it was funny. It's like what made me think of it when they would do it Maverick, where we know he's going to be Bob. Maybe we should call him Bob here. And it's funny. It's just funny. Yeah. It's funny. So, or did he get the job because he was previously Bob? This will be funny.
Well, Stephen Yuen was originally cast, wasn't he, in the same character, and then had to drop out for whatever reason. So then they brought him in. So those bizarre,
just happenstance. Wow.
Yeah, bonkers. Wow. You can imagine the call from his agent, can't you? Good news. We've got you a role in the new Marvel movie. Brilliant. What's the character called? Well, now that's an issue.
Yeah. Bob.
Yeah.
But but you don't have to wear the goofy helmet.
Yeah, good news.
Yeah. So
no, it was I'm certainly, if I don't get to the theaters to see it, and I've said to you guys before, I'm terrible for the weekend one. If I miss weekend one, that's it. I just wait. Yeah. So if that does happen in this case, then it'll be a Disney Plus day it hits, or disc day it comes out. Yeah. Watch it straight away. And I was very underwhelmed. Again, in our text chain earlier, I said to John, I was very underwhelmed by the trailers to this. I didn't think to me, it felt a bit like Diet Suicide Squad, because most of these characters were a bit rubbish in their individual movies. Agent, Red Guardian, Black Widow. I don't mean Natasha, not Natasha, Yelena. She's very good.
She's awesome.
Great. And Bucky has been as well. But the others have been very forgettable in their movies. Yeah. So this looked, as I said, to me, looked like Diet Suicide Squad. And I was not that keen. And even the trailers didn't really do much for me. So to then see all the reviews, and you guys, again, who are always my barometer of this stuff, saying it's not just good, it's great. It's like, right, goodness me. Suddenly it's like, right, okay, now you have my curiosity.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is it really did. It surprised me. I wasn't expecting. I felt like you with the trailers. I was like, oh, okay. It's a Marvel. I almost didn't see it, but it was a Marvel movie, and I'm like, how do I not? So it was hard for me to get to see it. It was like with the schedule, I'm like, I want to see it in the best theater. And it's like their times were just all over the place. And, I was supposed to go one day. I couldn't make it. So I had to return the tickets, got another day. But yeah, no, but it is that good.
So Martin says, so I'm not an MCU fan. I like the odd one or two. Do I really need to know the characters before watching? Yes, probably.
Yeah. And this one you kind of do. You kind of do. It's like, otherwise you don't know where they came from. You don't know what it all means. And it just doesn't resonate the same. It's still an entertaining movie. There's still it's a comedy. You'll still get all of that. You'll understand the action. You'll understand the story, but it really, to get to the level of where we're like, oh my God, it's great. Or it's this, it's like, you really need to know the rest. It's like, so I could see people that have never seen it before, or not really familiar with the MCU, be like, why do they think it's great? And it's really for what has happened in the past to what is coming in the future. and how like where like the MCU's back, like this is good, that's kind of what I think it is.
We've got a life hack.
Uh,
So Greg the Awesome Ninja says, I just look all the characters and their powers on Wikipedia before seeing Marvel films.
That's fair.
Which is fine if you want to know who they are. But if you want to know the emotional beats and the interactions between them, that's where you've got a problem, because of course Wikipedia will just give you the bare bones, see through walls, great, but won't tell you. But in Black Widow, there was a scene where one thing had led to another. That's where you miss the emotion of it. And from what I understand from John and from you, that's where a lot of the glue is that holds this together. So
and that's a great way to put it too. When you see the end, it holds it together. It's funny. I've seen stuff on Twitter where they showed like Captain Marvel, picture of Captain Marvel, her next to Sentry, and they're like, who wins in a battle? And like most of the comments is, who's the one on the right? Nobody even knows.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, okie dokie. It's like, yep.
There we go.
So, but yeah. All right. There we go.
No, I'm looking forward to seeing it anyway. However I see it, I am looking forward to it now, much more than I was.
Yeah. Let's see. Which one you want to do? Let's see.
Yeah, we can do that one. Yeah, I'm curious about this one, Deej, as to whether you know anything about this. We shall find out. Nothing.
I got nothing.
You might have a back way into this.
Uh-oh.
Let's see. We'll see now. All right. Okay. So this, from out of left field, and pun definitely intended, is a documentary on Disney Plus. I don't know whether it's on Disney Plus in the US or not, because this is a documentary called Flintoff, which is a documentary about Andrew Freddie Flintoff, who is an English cricketer. Don't go to see Deej. This has relevance to you. All right. Because he was a famous England cricketer, still is. However, something happened to him a number of years ago, 2021, I think it was, which has directly led to this documentary. Now, Deej, Top Gear. Yeah. So you're an avid watcher of Top Gear, obviously, with Clarkson, May, and Hammond, I'm assuming.
Yep.
Now, obviously, back in 2015, it was. Jeremy Clarkson, famously, after a day of shooting, there was no hot food available in the hotel, and he punched the producer. And that was the end of their Top Gear. Hence, they went to Amazon and did the grand tour. Now, did you ever see what came next? Did you see Top Gear with the other presenters that came after that?
The British version?
I don't know if they showed it. Yeah, I don't know if they even showed it. No. Okay. No. So after Clarkson, Hammond, and May left, there was a time when they experimented with different hosts, one of whom, memorably, was Matt LeBlanc for a while. But they experimented, so Joey himself from Friends. And so they experimented with different hosts, and they eventually settled on 3, which none of whom you would have heard of. A guy called Chris Harris, who was a racing driver, Paddy McGuinness, who was a presenter and a comedian, and Freddie Flintoff, who was on it as well. And they settled on these 3, and they were pretty popular. Not quite as popular as Hammond, May, and Clarkson, but still popular enough. But it doesn't look as though they ever really got to send it out. So now the relevance of that is that during filming in I think it was 2021, I may be wrong. So Freddie Flintoff was driving a 3-wheeled vehicle. This is an unusual 3-wheeled one in that the single wheel was at the back. So 2 wheels on the front, 1 at the back. He is not a racing driver. He had done advanced driving tests and stuff to be able to do the show, but he's not a racing driver. And for reasons, they gave him not a full face helmet. He only had one so that you could see his face. His head and side of his head was covered. And as he was driving around one of the corners, the car flipped. And he was then dragged along the track and then off the track, essentially by his face. And what happened then is he then spent years in recovery and recuperating, and his life changed immeasurably. Now, this is a documentary about him and his upbringing, but deals with the accident and what happened that day. And for anyone who is tempted to see it and who may not have a strong stomach, it shows the aftermath of the accident, and you see the photos of what happened to him in every gruesome detail. And when I say he was dragged along the track by his face at hundreds of miles an hour, he really was. And you will see the aftermath of what that does to a human face when that happens. So it is
I got to imagine it's not good.
It's not good when you can see through his cheek and can see his tongue and his teeth all hanging out.
Yeah.
In 4K.
In 4K.
So, yes, 4K.
Can we get that? Can we get that in 4?
Yeah, man.
Just drop the K. Just give me 4 pixels.
Yeah, that'll do. Yeah. Oh gosh, it was enough to make the person that I watched this with wince, and just cover their eyes, just like, oh my god.
Yeah.
So it's a documentary then again, so about his upbringing, about the accident, and mainly about his coping with it afterwards. And he suffers from PTSD. It's very difficult for him. And it is a fascinating documentary. It is well worth seeing. It's feature length, so hour and 37 minutes, and it is absolutely moving, heartwarming, and tragic, all within the same story. Now, I appreciate, Deej, for our international listeners, you might not be quite as interested, but those in the UK or those that are interested in Top Gear and that sort of thing, it is well worth seeing because it's a human story and it's well worth seeing. It looks beautiful. It's shot in 4K, so it looks fantastic even when you don't want it to. And so it's never less than razor sharp. It looks great. The audio is only in 5.1. This is not, it's a documentary. This is not not a theatrical mix at all. And you can forget most of the time that there's surround sound even going on. But it is exceptional, and it really is well worth seeing if you're interested in these, this tragedy and this, as I say, this very human story. And Freddie Flintoff as a person he's a very amiable, affable guy. At least he was, and is now trying to come to terms with what happened after. You do get a glimpse of his games room and his cinema room, which does look quite cool. You get a very quick glimpse of that. And in fact, it made me think of Ben Goff, actually, because this is exactly the kind of room that Ben Goff would not do.
Oh, really?
It's kind of, it's clearly a sportsman going, well, I'll have a pool table there and put the screen there, and I'll have a big couch there. And it's clearly not the sort of one that Ben would want anything to do with.
It's not serious for cinema.
It's more like living in a Dave and Buster's than it is a proper theater. But there it is. So it's well worth seeing, and it was enough for me to want to talk about it on the show, even though it's not home theater as such. But it's a very good story. It's on Disney Plus, as I say, so you get it for free. Hopefully over there as well as here. And if not, use your VPN.
Yeah.
So, because it really is a hell of a story, as long as you've got a strong stomach, as I say, because they don't shy away from the reality of what happened to him. The BBC, just if anyone wants to know, the BBC admitted fault, paid him £9 million for what happened. Wow. And it's, but he's scarred for the rest of his life. And, you can see the scar on his forehead there.
Right.
You can't quite see in the picture the reconstruction that's been done around his mouth and his nose, but you certainly see it in the show or in the documentary. So, well worth seeing. It's an excellent documentary.
Yeah. Oof. Yeah, that's interesting. I heard, I think Steve saying in the chat, looks like it's on Hulu here. It's possible.
It's just channel, isn't it, in the US?
Yeah, we could probably check that. You might be able to get it there. I'm not sure, but Steve's saying it looks like it's there. So
and this accident was the end of Top Gear in the UK, and it's on hiatus essentially. Although I appreciate that's an oxymoron, but it is essentially stopped. And it's unlikely.
Well, they probably can't get insured anymore. I mean, you know what? I used to wonder that about. I mean, they brought in some expensive cars and did some crazy stuff. So you can imagine what the insurance was on that show to begin with. But then you have something like this happened where it's like, you're worried about the cars. And then, I mean, I'm thinking of remember when they took the Veyron, and who was it that got it up to like 225 or 250 or something like that? Was that that was was that Jeremy? Did he get it up that?
Do that. He may have done. Yeah. I mean, obviously, Clarkson. Richard Hammond had his serious accidents as well, which very nearly killed him. Very nearly killed him. Yep. And funny enough, he was in hospital right behind my phone. literally in the building behind
Oh,
where
really?
my
Yeah.
Bristol. Yeah, it was there for a while. So there's chat there's talk in the chat, there's talk in the chat about kind of what had happened with Top Gear and with the safety.
Yeah.
There is a Joe Rogan episode in which Chris Harris is on it, and Chris Harris, who is one of these three, who was the racing driver, who talks about the issues that there were with safety. Martin J talks about it in the chat. And he mentioned about how there were issues and they were almost waiting for something to happen, but doesn't excuse it. But it's a fascinating story and well worth watching if you've got the time. So
it's one of those things that, I mean, you can take all the precautions you want, but you're dealing with these cars, this is what happens. You push them. Yeah. They're meant to be pushed to the limit. That's why we do the things that we do, the crazy stuff that you do. And it's like, that's the fun of it. If it was super safe, it would be easy. Right. And it's like, stuff's going to happen. And if you do a show like that, it's like, stuff's going to happen. You're just waiting for it to happen. So,
although the manner in which they did this was a little bit naughty. Put it this way, they don't pay out £9 million if they did everything they should have done.
Right. Well,
so
but
that's an acceptance of serious liability issues. I mean, the health and safety executive here did intervene. There are still, I think, potentially ongoing criminal investigations in terms of, health and safety violations. But we don't know. I think there are. I'm not sure. But give it a watch, Deej. I mean, you got a chance. It is interesting. But like I say, strong stomach required.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
It's the first time the injury photos have been shown anywhere either. Oof.
Yeah. What was it? I saw, or I listened to, if you talk about strong stomach, listen to Rogan with Jeremy Renner. And he talks about his, the snowcat injury and how that happened. And like he describes exactly, he was conscious all the way through it. Yeah. Right. And then to the point that he literally went under the track and he got run over the long way, which is probably what saved his life. But he was on pavement, not on snow, like frozen pavement. So he took the full weight of his body, crushed his skull to the point one of his eyeballs popped out. He could still see out that eyeball. Like he sees with the other eye that is dangling. And he says in the show, and he's like, I still have use of my eye. He goes, that's fine. He goes, the only thing I can think is I remember seeing it hanging out of me. And I was like, let me roll this way and put it on ice. So he put it on ice. And he's like, all right, I'll just lay here and wait for help. But it's like, I mean, listen, talk about an inspiring story. It's like you can get run. Did you know why he got run over? I didn't know this part. I knew he got run.
His cousin or something, was he trying to protect his cousin or his nephew? The thing he hit the way you drive him, he hit the lever on it and it started, like, I think his hip hit it as he was getting out and it started to go forward and it was going to hit his nephew. So he had to jump back on to stopped it, but it was like, or kept it from going that way, but he got sucked under it and run over with the tread. Jeez. So but just listen to the entire story and it's like what he's made of himself after that. And just his personality. I mean, I don't think he's changed at all. This didn't change him. If you listen to it, he's like a great guy. But what it's done is it's taken his focus and put it into a different perspective but really good to listen to. But all right, let's get to this quickly. And then we'll get to the one we've been dying to talk about for a week now. Oh, yeah.
All right, we are talking, boom, there it is. Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. I did it for Star Wars Day or thereabouts and it was the, 20th anniversary. Yeah. 20th anniversary. John saw it in the theaters. And I mean, seriously, I was listening to #Dork and Rich had seen it in his cinema, in his theater in the Dragon's Lair. And he was like, oh, it's such a great home theater movie. And I was like, you know what? I got to take that in. Steve, not even 2 minutes into it. And I'm looking at the screen and I'm like, it was like 3D.
Yeah, it is.
It's just like this opening scene to this movie. And I think the sound plays into it as well because things are flying past you. So you feel like those things are coming at you. But the contrast that you have here, and it's like, I mean, this is just me taking a picture of my screen as quick as I could just to get this. But you could see that even the different levels of black in the backdrop of space here, giving you that depth. But then you have the bright colors of explosions like here, or like the laser blasts that are coming through, whatever those were, the pink torpedoes, but just them flying through everything, that, you know, first person look of you coming through space on this. It was just unbelievably dynamic. Like, and again, like 4K, HDR, Dolby Vision, all of that. I've never seen it look this good ever. I was just completely blown away. And then I couldn't help but think, like when you were saying earlier about when you went to see Phantom Menace and you got, you know, you pull out and you jump out of the car, I was thinking of them. They land the ship and they jump out and the lightsaber comes out. And it's like when they land into the hangar bay. But all of that, all the way through this, it was such a fun time watching this movie again. And a lot of it, I had forgotten, you know, I haven't seen this in a long time, but it's just, I was just in awe of the picture quality and then the sound quality, and there is some nice bass in this. And then as it wraps up at the end, seeing, you know, Mustafar and that, you know, all its glory, it was amazing. It was amazing just watching this. And it just, I mean, to think it's 20 years old and how good it looks right now. And I mean, this is the epitome of, you know, first one was digitally shot a little bit, right? I think Phantom Menace.
No, first one's on film. I think Attack of the Clones has got some sequences shot digitally.
Okay, I thought the first one was a mix. And
yeah.
but this is full digital.
Yes, this is the full first digital. Yeah,
full digital. Yeah. And it's, I mean, to see it like this is just, it was awesome. It was awesome. Definite, like, I mean, the way I felt after watching it this year, it was like, oh, wow, I got to throw this back in the rotation like I do, you know, even the originals, you know. So it was a lot. And that opening scene is a big part of it. It just really gets you going. The one part I could do away with is like that little love story and, like, you know, Hayden Christensen's acting with, it's just like, oh, okay. Could do away with that, but, you know.
I think that opening shot was at the time the longest CG unbroken shot in cinema history. I think it's like 2 minutes long. It's all CG. There's nothing real in that at all. Yeah. So I think they call it the waterfall shot.
Yeah.
And so I think that at that time it was, obviously not now, but it was back then. Yeah, I do like it. I get rid of the love scenes. That's fine. We need more warmth between Obi-Wan and Anakin. More of the brotherhood. We need that across all three, really.
Right.
And I keep going, and I like a stuck record because they don't earn that line from episode 4 when Alec Guinness, as Obi-Wan, says he was a cunning warrior and a good friend. Right. And he says it with such warmth, but they just bicker throughout.
In this, he goes, "You were my brother. I loved you." That's how.
Yeah,
but
you never felt that before he says it.
Right. But here's another case where, like, you know, you have Rogue One takes and answers a question that was you know, panned, you know, of Star Wars. But if you watch, you know, the Clone Wars, the animated series, and I know a lot of people have stayed away from it because it's animation, but that is what fills in the gap between the two. And it's like, I mean, that is in depth, and that's where you get Ahsoka. That's where you meet, and you know all these, and you get the in-depth relationship of Anakin and Obi-Wan. That's a huge part of it, and that's Dave Filoni doing all that, you know.
Indeed. But if you think that Lucas had 6 and a bit hours to give us the brotherhood, it's an arc, isn't it? It's the you set up the brotherhood. You go on an adventure, you break the brotherhood, and the breaking is the tragedy, and that's why it ends in darkness. And you just never get the sense of that warmth. I've seen 2-hour movies where 2 characters seem more like brothers in that 2 hours than in the 6 hours Lucas had in these 3. That's my one major issue with the prequels, is that I wanted them to earn that line. Yeah. There is a little bit in Revenge of the Sith. I mean, not mentioning, you know, you are my brother. It is just as they say goodbye for the last time, where he says, you know, I foresee you becoming a great Jedi, And then he says, I haven't always appreciated your teachings. And there's a little bit of warmth there, but it's like 2 seconds. And then it's like, force me with you, right, get lost.
Yeah.
And then the next time they meet, it's like, I want you dead. And you're like, well, okay. But so that tragedy could have been worked on. But here's me trying to tell multi-billionaire George Lucas how to do his job. And I don't think he cares.
No. And you probably would have ruined it.
Yeah. Quite. Yeah.
It would have all been shot in Spain. It would have been sombreros involved. Just not exactly what we're looking for.
You were my hermano.
Yeah, it's like, well, you said cantina.
Yeah, there you go.
But a lot of fun.
So I do need to give them all another watch. The last time I saw them was again when they came out in the big box set. So I do need to go give them another one. There's always next year.
Yep, exactly. Always next year. All right.
What does Greg say? Greg just says it does seem that Qui-Gon liked Anakin way more than Obi-Wan. Well, again, there's not really that son relationship between the two of them either, because he dumps him the first time she gets. Literally, Qui-Gon's like, I'm going to take Anakin on. You're all right. You're okay. Off you go, Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
So again, really that warmth there either.
There it is. There it is. All right, hang on.
Okay.
I got to take 2 pieces and move them for our next one here too, because I found in this next one I have a fun. Where is? Boom. And where did it?
Skylake has been prolific in the chat. Says, I made 20 scripts. I made scripts 20 years ago about a future movie that's a half rebuilt Death Star used to pod race. Disney told me to go away. Literally.
They go away. Literally. Yeah. That's funny. That's wicked funny.
Yeah, they'll never take submissions like that.
No.
Skylake, they just don't do that.
Yeah. All right. We ready for this?
Ooh, yeah. Main event.
The main event. Ding, ding. Here we go.
Right. You going first? Do you want me to go first, Deej?
You had it first. You watched it first. I bought it Tuesday before the show, so you had it first. So let's go.
Okay. So this is the stone cold 50-year-old cinematic classic that is
54.
Dirty Harry. 54. Yeah. Is it 54 years?
Yeah, 71.
Oh, dear goodness me. Right. 50 plus.
Yeah.
50 something.
Yeah.
So, yes, Dirty Harry, the original, the best, although the others were still very good, apart from the Deadpool, as I said last week. So this has been released in the UK in the last 2 weeks on 4K and brand new original camera negative and in a brand new Dolby Atmos mix.
Yeah.
So this, as I said last week briefly when we kind of previewed this is a movie that is one of my favorite films that I always forget to say is one of my favorite films. So when someone says, name your top 10 movies, this is never mentioned.
Yeah.
Because I never think of it, and yet it is one of my favorite films. It is fantastic. And the movie, I have seen it countless times. I've forgotten how many times I've seen this. And it still holds up perfectly. It's still a great movie. And I think it's a masterpiece. I think it's a perfect film in many ways. There's nothing in this that I would change. I love this movie. What do you think of the film then, Deej?
I love it. I haven't seen it in so long. I mean, since I was a kid. I wasn't as enamored with, I mean, we all know it. You know the line, like we talked about last week. But it was part of that genre back then. It was like, what was the other one that I saw that I liked back then too? But I can't remember. Death Wish. That's it. The Death Wish series I loved. But this here was like, it was the first attempt at, and I think looking back on it now, having watched it, this week, it's like you see shades of, they took parts of this for Lethal Weapon. There's comedy in this that I'm not sure that's what they were going for at the time, but then you see it now and you're like, I think they were. You're like,
Oh, yeah.
you know, like it just, I mean, it's just, you know, it's that iconic, but at the same time, I wasn't as into it as you were back then. It's not like, I mean, we all said it as kids, you know, you always thought you were, you know, Dirty Harry or whatever, and you wanted to be that tough guy, that strong, silent type, but he's not so silent in this one.
Yes.
But I think my memory of it was always like him being quiet and him being like, I'm not going to play by the rules. But when you watching it again, I'm like, no, he's trying to play by the rules. And then he's like, what the hell? You know, that gets mad because he's like, why can't we do this? You know, that scene with the judge, you know, and you're like, I forgot about how he was like, all right, I'll do it this way. And it's, you know, but yeah, it's the 4K though. Unreal that it exposes some stuff though, Steve. I got some footage.
Paint blood.
Oh my God. It's like, how many times are we going to shoot this scene with paint blood to the point that they must have shot it for 3 hours because the paint dried and it wasn't even shiny anymore.
No,
and it was like,
trousers.
It was caked. Yeah. There was no hole in his pants.
Exactly.
Like, he got blood all over himself. And I'm like, where did that come from? But Steve, I got some footage here that I think we have. I think we have another, you know, Sharpie, you know, shark eye Sharpie situation. You remember this scene from the beginning when he picks up the slug. Did you notice? It's a full bullet.
Oh, is it? Doesn't he put the pen in the end of it?
Yeah, but look at the shot here. This is the shot where you look down. Then I did I zoomed in with the camera. That is a full bullet with bullet and cartridge.
On the end, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's all there. But then I think I have maybe I didn't. Did I save?
Yeah, he then puts the pen in the end of it and picks it up. So yeah.
Yeah. So then exactly. So I don't think I grabbed a picture of that. But if you look closely, it's the full bullet. You can see it's pointed at the end. It's not rounded off. I mean, it's there. That's the full bullet.
Okay.
And if I'll zoom in like that, that's it. Yeah. You can see it. So, you know, that's again,
continuity error.
Yeah. Like here, just throw a bullet on the ground, let them look at it. Right. And it's like, and whoops. And then they go in for the close up when he picks it up with the pen or whatever he did. Yeah. It's, you know, it's just the cartridge in the back, the casing, I should say. So yeah, I thought that was pretty funny. That goes up there with, remember in Terminator, and in the original, he had no X-Acto knife, no blade. And now in the new 4K version, there's actually a blade. I was like, wait a minute, that was never there. So they went back and put that in because they were afraid Arnie was going to stab himself in the eye.
You can't trust these bodybuilders.
No, he's like, oh, you want me to stab myself? You're all right. Like, whoops.
Method actor.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
So the 4K, I mean, Jordan says, you know, apparently some are disappointed with the 4K release. I mean, it's another Aliens, Abyss, you know, you name it. Someone's always going to get funny about, I've lost Teach. Oh, right. I've got the show to myself. I'll carry on. The 4K image quality, as far as I'm concerned, is absolutely exceptional. Hey, Deej.
Hey, we're back. We're back. Weirdly back.
The 4K image quality on this, I think, is exceptional. And I know this movie well. There's always seems to be someone lined up to moan about these things, and that's fine. I don't know what they saw it on. I don't know what they're watching it on. I don't know what they're used to.
Yeah.
But I know this film backwards, and I know what I saw it on, and I think it looks fantastic. It's never, ever come close to looking like this, and you get it right from the beginning. Look at the swimming pool and the artificial grass around the swimming pool that Scorpio is looking at right at the very beginning. Yeah. And what you look at the blue of the water, look at the green of the grass, look at the purity of the yellow swimsuit that the woman's wearing. Don't look too long, at least certainly not if you're with a significant other. Otherwise, questions might be asked.
Yeah.
But the colors on that leap off the screen. They look fantastic. Whenever you get close-ups of Eastwood, you can see all the little marks on his, the little wrinkles that are forming, even back in 71. You know, the tweed of his jacket, the all of it is crazily good. There can be, from my experience, no improvement on this. I think it looks fantastic. It is night and day over the Blu-ray, and I've seen it so many times. It is awesome.
Yeah.
So I can't pick it apart, and I wouldn't seek to do so. I can't see how it could be better. The audio is awesome as well. Absolutely awesome. Right from the beginning. And funny enough, you're choosing that bit with the bullet about 30 seconds before that, as he's climbing up, and you see a shot of the ventilators going, you know, the water cooling, and you can hear the fans going right above you.
Over your head,
right over your head. In a movie that's 50 odd years old, and the overhead is perfectly placed. All the traffic is all moving around the room. The guns sound great. When you get the shootout, where we first get the "Do I Feel Lucky" speech, you've got the cars are moving. You can hear the water, you know, the jets of the fire hydrant going. It's all there. Plus, and the music playing on the car stereo. It's great.
What about the score, though? The music of this movie, it's moving, like the different instruments are at different places in your room.
They are.
Really, and like hovering. And I haven't felt that way about the score. Like I do, that was like the opening to Star Wars. Like you can hear the orchestra around your room in the opening to Star Wars. That's what this felt like to me, and even more pronounced because I felt like it's less instruments. So you've got things, and it's the music from the 70s is like going all around the room. It's awesome. Absolutely, that Atmos track is absolutely amazing. The opening scene is really a push play demo, because of the way they utilize the space of the room and basically envelop you in sound in different, and then they take it away for a second as he's climbing up, right? They take the sound goes away, then it comes, the score comes back in, and you're just like, what the? Yeah, it is really, really good. It's
when he's on the bus as well at the end, you can hear him all over the top, and you can, it's just so good.
Yeah.
Again, for a movie 50 odd years old, we just shouldn't be able to get something as good as this, and aren't we lucky that we can? It gives this film a new lease of life. It is like seeing it for the first time, and we're seeing it way better than it's ever been seen before, including on its release. So very,
I would say though, where people are complaining or they think it's not that, it's not a limitation of the source, like the film. It's more, I think what I noticed through this is it's the limitations on it where there are times where it doesn't look as good, right? One of our favorites of like a transfer of like the textbook, like look up how to do a great transfer. You go to Lawrence of Arabia, right? Where you're just like, oh my God, that looks amazing. This is the exact opposite, because Lawrence of Arabia is where out in a desert, you have tons of light. When you're shooting stuff, you need tons of light, right? That's what burns onto the film, right? In this, the limitations of this transfer is in the darker scenes, because they didn't light them the way they light darker scenes, even into the 80s, 90s, and obviously now with HDR, they're lighting scenes and then they're bringing it back to give you that dark effect, right? Well, here they're literally dark scenes. So there's not a lot of detail there on the film, because it's just a dark scene. There was an early scene in an office that Harry and I think it was the mayor or something like that, they're talking, and it was kind of a little bit blurry, like it had some texture to the, like grain to it. And I was like, it's like, I was waiting for the jump cut. Maybe because sometimes you'll get that, like it's not a great cut.
Cool transitions.
Right.
Yeah.
But what happened is a one shot, they walked to the foreground of the room and then the shot cleaned up. So really what it was, I felt like it was like the way they had the camera focused, they knew they were going to get that shot. So here it's not so good. They're a little bit in the back and they step forward, and now you see the texture of the suits and, the tweed jacket and his vest or sweater vest and everything. But early on in that exact shot, it didn't look that great. And that's a limitation of the lighting and everything and how they lit stuff back then. But that's what's fun about getting it now in 4K is that you see all of this stuff. You see the limitations that they had. It makes you appreciate how they light now. And it's like, I was amazed by it. And there are parts that you're like, but I think it's, like I said, I think it's more to do with the lighting than anything else. So
I was blown away by it. So impressed to the point where it nudged Tombstone a couple of points down on the scale because of how good and how dramatic a remaster it is. And that's no slouch. That transfer as we talked about last week. So I absolutely love this. I would say I was blown away by it, but bearing in mind that like a 44 Magnum. It was very good indeed.
Yes, exactly. Martin J saying in the chat, expectations for older movies released on 4K to look absolutely perfect are ridiculous. It's hard. It's hard. It's hard to do that. And when they can do it, that's a testament to the cinematography and the director of that particular film. And it's like the two I could think of are Psycho and Lawrence of Arabia. I'd say maybe Casablanca too. That was pretty amazing.
Casablanca too. I only thought there was one of those.
Oh, you didn't see that one?
I missed
that. Back to Nazi Germany.
Play it again, Sam.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right. That should do it, right? We've got to get Steve to bed by.
Oh yeah, long day tomorrow.
Long day. So, but we'll get him out. We're a minute late, so we'll go quick. So thank you, everybody in the chat. What a lively chat again today. Thank you very much. Thanks to all our Patreon supporters. If you'd like to become a Patreon supporter, just go to patreon.com/Brightside Home Theater. And if everybody listening to us gave $1, we could all just do this full time. So that would be great. It's amazing how far a lot of $1 goes.
Yes.
A lot of. So, but all right. That'll do it for this week. We will be back next week. Maybe a full bus bench, maybe not. And we will get back to you on Patreon chats hosted by Steve. Now, that would be fun. So, all right. Let's get Steve to bed. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for everything. We will be back next week. Until then, you know what you got to do.
Go push play.
What he said.
That's right.
Hey, Fred.
This has been a Hey Fred production with theme music by Jeff Bernhardt and Throne Vault Productions.